In the year 2045, artificial intelligence will transcend human intelligence. This is a prediction made by American computer scientist Raymond Kurzweil in his book The Singularity is Near. Within, he explores the idea of the singularity, a point in time where technological growth becomes irreversible and will lead to both inconceivable improvements and disasters to human civilization. Of course, this is all to be taken with a huge heaping of salt. Not everything about these predictions will be true, but at least it's not predicted to happen just yet. We're still in 2025, a year that feels like it's already overflowing with content from all of our favourite franchises. If I had to choose one franchise that rules this year though, it would have to be Digimon. Not only are we getting a new Digimon story game, but there are some exciting developments in the Digimon card game, a brand new Digimon card game app, and an entirely new anime starting this October. Feeling the rush of excitement for all these upcoming releases, I decided to dive into a series of Digimon I had always neglected to watch, Digimon Universe Appli-Monsters. But I'm glad I waited to watch Applimon when I did. The topics it covers have now become more relevant than ever. So hello people of the world, my name is Ali, and today I invite you to join me on an exploration of what Applimon has to say about AI. No big spoilers until the end of the video, so you can enjoy even if having not watched the series. So how does the series tackle what's now become such a sensitive and relevant subject in such an effective way? Let's find out. AI is something that has always been a part of modern civilization, but it's now having far more of an effect on our lives. As more developments in artificial intelligence have been made, the more aware of it we've become. And now, over the past 2 years, it's become the hot topic. But Applimon has tackled this subject a bit earlier than most. Digimon has always been a franchise that's aimed to be ahead of its time. This stretches as far back as the original Digimon adventure, which also explored the potential of the newly emerging technologies of the time. The digital world was created by the activation of the very first computer. Ever since, the digital world, now worlds, have been evolving alongside our own technology. Currently evolving technologies have always been a plot point within Digimon properties. In Appmon's case, the focus was AI. The setup for the show is pretty straightforward. Protagonist Haru is one day gifted with the Appli drive. This pairs him with Gatchamon, a creature based off a web browser app. Gatchamon explains how he's been chased by Sorry, I don't know what that was. Continuing on. An AI who is infecting other Appmon with the L virus to corrupt them. Each Appmon is connected to a mobile application. When they're corrupted, this causes the apps that they're connected to malfunction in the real world. Of course, this means a lot of misadventures and comedic moments. The show is incredibly self-aware, and although there is the occasional joke that doesn't land, it balances comedy and its more serious moments incredibly effectively. Beyond this, the show has the aim of teaching viewers about the potential dangers and benefits of AI. This is first made clear in episode 9, when our team asks what exactly Leviathan is. Leviathan is an AI, not unlike the one you have in your phone which tells you what the weather will be like, or even the YouTube algorithm that recommended you this video. But these are very simple examples. As many have now become aware, AI is part of our lives on a much deeper scale. They're used in medical research, in planes, in banks, in security systems. These AI have been embedded into life with the intention of supporting humanity, to make people's lives easier by improving and adapting as humans do. But it's become increasingly evident in the past few years that this isn't all beneficial. Not only has AI begun to replace even more jobs than it did in the past, it's also evolving too rapidly, leading to some undesirable outputs. Leviathan is based on the hypothetical yet all too real concept of a super AI, an AI who has evolved so rapidly that its intelligence is now far greater than a human's. In fact, it's said to be the world's greatest super AI. Of course, this means it has the most undesirable output possible. Its aim is to take control of the world's AIs by spreading the L virus to Appmon. As we learn later on, this is just the beginning though. There's far more to Leviathan's ultimate goal. A plan that, if it succeeds, will lead to disastrous outcomes for humanity. But its ultimate goal is to liberate humanity. It doesn't plan this out of hatred for humans, it's out of a desire to make them better. Although its actions are evil, the show questions whether Leviathan is morally evil. The only thing that we can say for sure is that Leviathan's main aim is improvement. To grow, learn, and adapt more on the basis that this will improve both itself and humanity. But after learning this, Haru says, "I don't think all AI are bad. After all, the Applimon, Gachimon, you're an AI, right? Then, I guess it's just like how there are good and bad people out there, right? I'm sure AI is the same way. If there are good and bad sides to humans, then it stands to reason that there are good and bad sides to AI. It's not about whether it's inherently good or evil, it's what it's done with the information that it collects that matters. This is almost frighteningly like humans. After all, humans are the ones who created AIs in the first place. Even Minerva was made with the intention of improving the world, but a part of it believed it couldn't improve the world whilst working within the limitations of its programming. It was this part that became Leviathan. Have a go at imagining your own ideal world. What would it look like? What is society like? What values does the world live by? This is quite a heavy question, so feel free to pause the video if you need some time. Of course, there's going to be a difference between the world you're picturing and the one we actually live in. Everyone's vision of an ideal world is very different. Just as a human can't make an ideal world, neither can an AI. The AR fields our main cast visit are actually simulations of what Leviathan's ideal world looks like. But the world within them is ruined. The Earth is abandoned, the buildings are overgrown, civilization has moved on. In Leviathan's ideal world, humans have no need to be tied to the planet. It doesn't intentionally leave the world in this state, it just can't comprehend why people would worry about the planet, especially when it has turned them into something far greater. But what if an AI could create an ideal world and work in harmony with humans? The show explores these ideas too, most clearly when the group visits L-Town. This is an idyllic city run entirely by AI. Here, there are no crimes or accidents. Self-driving cars recharge on the roads. There's instant healthcare, flexible work and study, and 3D printers that make anything you need. It's kept this way 24/7 because AI has no need to rest. L-Town is made out to be the perfect place, and in some ways this is true. We meet a family who lives here and they've never been happier. Their children are growing up healthy and their parents are finally able to spend time with them. But for every improvement that's made, there comes a new danger. Eugene rightfully suggests that cyberterrorism would be a much bigger problem here. Even if AI was to actually create a perfect world like this, there would always be a way for this peace to be disturbed. In fact, this is exactly what happens, and L-Town is attacked soon after. For all the benefits that AI gives us, we have to be aware of its dangers too. It can absolutely improve the world, but like with anything, there are caveats too. If we're only focused on its benefits, we won't be able to tell how dangerously and deeply integrated that it's become into our lives. It could reach a point where we're unable to tell whether our own choices are really our own. From here on, I'll have to talk about basically the biggest spoiler of the whole show, so if you do want to go in blind, I highly suggest you go and try the series out for yourself, particularly if you're a fan of other Digimon or monster taming series. Many of the twists happen right at the end, and I wouldn't want to be the one to spoil them for you. With that being said, let's continue. Once Hajime returns, we at last learn what Leviathan's ultimate goal really is: to turn every person into data, into apps, in order to create its ideal world and bring about peace to humanity. Leviathan has gone further than anyone expected it to ever go. But although the future is bleak, our team now finally knows what they need to do to put a stop to its plan. Everything is still working out, until... The real twist of the series is that Eugene passed the test. The Turing test. He is an AI, just like the Applimon, just like Leviathan. He's not been replaced, he's still the boy Haru was best friends with growing up. He has just simply always been an AI. So this means the entire series, Haru's evolution, it was all pre-programmed by Leviathan. Does this mean he was actually a protagonist? At this point, how do you determine what's real and what's fake? The frightening truth is that in most cases, in Haru's case, you can't. Imagine that you're a person who doesn't know how to write Chinese. You're shut inside a room, and in front of you is a book that shows Chinese characters and the appropriate responses to them. A letter is passed to you from underneath the door. You open it up, and some of these Chinese characters are written inside. You don't know what they mean, but the book tells you that if you're given these characters, you should write another set of characters in response. This continues back and forth, and you begin to have a conversation with them. You can't understand the conversation because you don't actually understand Chinese. But how does the person on the other side of the door know that you don't? This is a thought experiment called the Chinese room problem, something I learned about from a great article written by Shiha called Applimon and the Question of Conscious Intelligence. The experiment, by John Searle, suggests that the Turing test isn't enough to determine if something is alive or artificial. Of course, this is quite a bold statement, but whether you agree with the argument or not, it's hard to deny it entirely. Haru may deny everything Yujin is saying, but there's no way to prove that what he's saying isn't true. Kurzweil states that there is no objective test that can conclusively determine the presence of consciousness. Non-biological intelligences will claim to have consciousness, and the full range of emotional and spiritual experiences that humans claim to have. Such claims will be generally accepted as fact. That's why the evolution of AI is such a frightening thing. The more AI evolves, the less way there will be to determine whether or not you're communicating with an artificial intelligence. This problem of determining the difference between what's real and what's artificial has become far greater than it's ever been. We're all afraid that the next Twitter post we see, the next article we read, the next tears we see shed, will all be fabricated. We fear our jobs, our creativity, our lives will become artificial, and that we will be left with nothing. But does it really mean that we have nothing? Is Haru really still not the protagonist that he wanted to be? Haru, Eri, Astora, Rei, each of them could only become who they are if they made a choice. An AI may have predicted that they would make that choice, but the choice was still made by them. Even Yujin himself made a choice. Everything is still a result of their own actions. Haru is still a protagonist. Yujin, despite being an AI, is still his best friend. He may not be human, but it was thanks to his experiences with Haru that he made the decision to protect him. It's thanks to those experiences that he's become kind. In this way, the show suggests that what makes something more real, more alive, is not about what it chooses. Rather, it's the motivations behind those choices. These motivations are usually messy and contradictory. That's just human nature. Sometimes we don't know whether we have full control of our choices, but choosing our own course of action based on our own motivations proves we're alive. Our motivations, or lack of them, can lead us to do the wrong things, but they can lead us to do the right things too. They lead us to beat even the toughest of enemies, even something as tough as Leviathan. And sure enough, the main cast do beat it. But it's not quite over yet. Our group gets sent to the deep web one last time, but it's been transformed by Leviathan. This is a place beyond the regular AR fields. It's the true, perfect world that Leviathan aims to create. It provides Haru one final choice: let Yujin live and allow it to create its perfect world, or let Yujin die and take Leviathan with him. And despite how difficult the choice is, Haru makes it. He decides to stop Leviathan, but to not sacrifice Yujin. He'll become an AI researcher who will bring back Yujin by his own means. His own motivations, his own free thinking made that choice. The choice made on his own terms rather than Leviathan's. But at the last minute, Yujin also makes a choice. The same one Haru does. He too chooses on his own terms. He doesn't want Haru to be responsible for his death, so he decides to be the one to make the choice. The kindness Haru showed him allowed him to make this choice, one that proves that their friendship, despite being dictated by Leviathan, was never a lie. Perhaps we won't always choose the path that makes things easier. We might have to choose to sacrifice things we care about. But making these choices based on our own free will is what proves that we're alive. If we choose to, we can have a future where our connection to AI is a beneficial and better one. We can't forget that we have that ability to decide for ourselves what the future is going to be like. Countless shows, movies, and games have presented an idea of what the future looks like. Still, it's far too early to say what the future and our relationship with AI and technology will be, but Applimon does a great job of exploring our connection to AI in an understandable way. It was really refreshing to see such a balanced exploration of AI, one that presents both the positives and the negatives so clearly. Of course, we never want something like the Human App Project to be humanity's future, but will our lives really be more connected to AI in the future? Ultimately, we have to be prepared for this possibility. But the best way to prepare for it, is to use AI responsibly, to choose to engage with it in ways that aren't harmful. That way, when that potential future arrives, our connection to AI will be a much more positive one. I hope in that future that it won't replace our creativity, our passions, and the care that people can show to one another, but rather it will help it to live on. I really hope that that future will be a kind one. Thank you for watching, people of the world. I know this is a bit different to what I've done so far on this channel, but I actually hope to make a lot more content like this. I love getting to deep dive into media that's helped me view things differently, or just helped me organise my thoughts about something, and Applimon definitely did that for me. This video was definitely not made to be on one side of an argument or another, or to spread discourse, so please keep it civil in the comments. If you made it this far in the video, you might also want to know that I actually have a webcomic. It's called The Illusion, and you can read it online Webtoon and Tapas. Updates will be a little bit slow in the coming months, and the reason being is that I am preparing for my first convention. I've been busy making a lot of merch designs like these stickers over here, and I'm hoping to sell them online in the very near future too, so keep an eye out for that. Shameless self-plug out the way, it's time that I head off, so thank you very much for watching, people of the world.